Welcome to the Big Money Stylist Podcast, number 27, or I'm hoping it's at least number 27. If it's not, that's my bad, because honestly, at this point, I'm just kind of losing track. We're at number 3095 is how it feels.
Perfect.
3095.
Yep, that's episode number today.
I like it.
Why? Because honestly, I'm kind of losing track today, so I just want everyone to see what Danielle's doing because she's literally turning it on. So if you are listening to us right now on Spotify or iTunes or SoundCloud, wherever you're listening to us, if you want to watch, you can actually go to bigmoneystylistnow.com and you can actually watch the video of us sitting inside the podcast room. Personally, it's my favorite just because I feel like it's funny, and not that we look funny, but our mannerisms are funny and we're hysterical, guys. So
and side note, don't judge us because we're wearing the same thing we were wearing last week.
It's almost like we recorded them back to back.
Oh, weird.
Fascinating thought, guys. So every single week we go through a topic and we start with power, then we go to production, then we go to profit and protection, which is always my fave. But today we are going to be talking about production. So
That's
Danielle,
my favorite.
Production. Talk to me about production.
If you're not producing, what are you working for?
Perfect.
Yeah, simple as that. Like production equals like where you're at in business and life. Like we talked about this on our last episode. If you're running in circles and then you do your numbers and you're not like profitable, what are you working for? You know? So profit's like super. You gotta know your numbers and you gotta be profitable to make it worth your time.
Yeah, production, guys, is literally just doing the work.
Oh, we're on production?
We're on production.
Is profit one of them?
Profit's
that's
next
week.
Oh, well, I was super excited because I feel like those both tie in together. Profit, production.
God damn it, Danielle. I just sat here and told you
Profit
that.
is Danielle's favorite.
Fuck.
I'm glad we're on production, but profit's my favorite.
Good talk. So back to this week of production.
Okay, I'm going to reel it back in.
No,
Okay.
you're fine. So, but inside of production, I feel like the main topic that we really wanted to talk about today was skipping steps, and people who like see this end result and they're like, that's my guy. And even inside something like inside BMS, we have something called strategic seduction, and there's 6 steps. My favorite question is, can I skip a step and it still work? I go, can you skip a step in NBR and it still work? They're like, well, no. I'm like, well, got your fucking answer, don't you?
Hurry, I got some now.
Go ahead.
Okay, so it's like you'll find somebody on social media or like you'll read a book and you'll relate to this person at some level and you'll be like, I am just like them. And then it's weird. You find this relatability factor and then you start to like slowly like kind of get triggered. And you're like, what's going on? And you think that you're at that same level as that person that you were like relatable to. Ani's just laughing at me. I have to say these things or I'll forget. So stay with me, Ani. Stay with me. So like you're that person. This goes back to skipping steps. And you find this relatability factor with somebody, and then like you think you're at the same level, and then you like get mad that like shit's not going your way, and you're like, well, I could do that. I could be there. I just don't want to. But it's because you're skipping steps or you're not doing the work. You know what I mean? So I see that a lot. And especially in our mastermind, especially like in our industry. And I was even that asshole at 1.2 where I was like, I am a really good artist and I could do all that. I'm working on it and I'm good here. And then you'll have people that have like been doing hair, for 20 years and they're like, well, I'm a trainer and a coach and I've been a trainer and a coach forever. And you're like, well, I don't know who the fuck you are. So I don't care if you're putting in the time. Like, I don't owe you shit kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's like we're not at the same level. And I think people get so confused with like time versus putting in the work and doing the steps. So you have like people even in like Garrett's industry, and I have to like slap him around a little bit. He likes it. But I have to like be like, Garrett, you cannot discredit yourself. I don't care if you have a guy that comes in older than you. I don't care if you have a guy that comes in and said he's been a coach and a trainer for 20 years. You built this shit and he's working for you. So knowing that and understanding that, like, you can't skip steps, and you can work together and you can get to that point, but like you're not equal and everybody plays a role. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I find myself with that, like I said, like all the time I'll be like, oh, I'm totally there, and I'm not. And it's like you have to just be willing to like dial it in and figure out how to get there,
Absolutely. Val, what do you see with skipping steps?
It doesn't work. You won't get to where you're going. You have to take like all the steps. I get like wanting to be there and seeing someone, but you have to use that as inspiration of like, okay, that's where I want. And what steps did they take to get there? Is it something I should like I need to do those same things? But I think like time isn't necessarily, like Danielle was saying, it's not necessarily like once you've spent 20 years in the industry, then you're there.
Right.
It's the amount of steps that you've taken. Like an assistant program for one person might take 9 months and another person take 2 full years before they're able to like take clients.
Right.
So it's actually doing the steps and being successful at each of them for you to get to that next level, not necessarily a time thing.
I think it's too hard. Like, I was just thinking, like, sometimes, like, with my own business, because I feel like I'm still relatively young for the, like, what we've kind of accomplished, and all of us in here, you know what I mean? And so
I
for
love
me,
being called young.
well, no, like, for real, it's like, I feel like I'm like a senior stylist, and I always joke around like that. Like, but at the same time,
Can we call it a master stylist
Yes,
instead of senior? Because I'm so over the senior word. I feel like senior citizen,
It's funny.
geriatric pregnancy. They're all triggering me.
I'm at that point, guys.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
35, I guess you're like 90 all of a sudden. But no, like, it's interesting because you're like going back to that whole time thing, and I'll have clients that come in that are older than me, and I don't feel like the respect's there. I have students that come in and I don't feel like the respect's there. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't care if you're a businesswoman. I don't care if you have been doing hair for 30 years. Like, I don't care. If you're here, it's because you want what I'm offering. Either you're attracted to the extensions that I do and the energy that I carry, or that you're attracted to the education that we offer. So at some level, we both have to submit. I have to submit that I kind of think you're like being an asshole, but I'm here to help.
Yeah.
And you have to submit that like you signed up, and so like stick with the process. Listen to your coaches. Dial it in, you know?
Yeah.
So
Well, and it's interesting because inside of BMS, we have something that we create for all the students called a funnel. And if you don't know what that is, imagine basically it's a website that's like just an amazing marketing tool. And to make it is not easy. It's very expensive. And we have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars going through figuring out, even down to like the font and color, what's best. Like, a lot of time and energy has gone into this. And I think it's so interesting because the artists come in and they're like, great, I want the funnel because then I'm going to get a bunch of clients and then it's going to work. And I'm like, okay, well then how do you get people to your funnel? And they're like, you know, like my Instagram. I'm like, what about it? They're like, and then all of a sudden they have no answers for me. I'm like, cool. And now, so we've kind of not put a stop on funnels inside of Mastermind, but I'm like, now you don't get it until you're ready. How do I know you're ready? Your videos are filmed. I have seen them. I have approved them. Your pictures have come in. I have approved them. Like, that's something we're doing now because I've noticed that they get so ahead of the game because they see what DKW is doing. They see what I did in St. Louis, and they're like, oh, well, then I have to have that to make it succeed. No. You tools will assist you in doing that, but if you're not willing to do like the very beginning work, and we call it the daily 4, it's 4 things that they do every single day that they post on social media, online, their blog, wherever it is. If you don't do that, then no one will ever see your website, because how many bloggers are actually out there now that no one looks at their fucking website? Nobody knows. So you can have 1,500 websites and funnels created for you, but if you're not leading anybody to them, they literally never work.
Right.
And I feel like that one I see a lot, and even Val, you said this one earlier today, assisting to clients.
Yeah, you're not ready for clients. And I even laugh like at students too when they're all amped, like, oh, I'm going to go home from this class and I'm going to charge $2,000 for a client. And I'm like, your work is going to suck so hard. Like, I think you should start out at a lower price point.
But it's hard because like if they've been doing color or something forever and they're making like X amount of dollars per hour, it's like they think that their value is there, and you're like, this is a whole new ball game. Like,
so now we've just had to be like super blunt. Like, guess what? My work sucked in the beginning. It's getting better, but like but we're still like learning, and your work is going to suck super hard, so you're going to have to like reel your price back in. And same thing with like assistants. You're not ready to like go out on the floor, and there's just so much that goes with it. You have to do the steps of like marketing, obviously, for the stuff you were saying, but like you have to get good at MBR, at coloring, the blend, the pictures, and then on top of that you have to have the experience of like knowing how to manage a client. Managing the client is so huge in the client experience and you succeeding in the industry. It's fucking huge.
If you're better at the controlling the energy and the vibe with the client, you could give them purple hair and they'd be like, you're the best freaking stylist I've ever seen. And you're like, you're welcome. I don't like purple hair, but you know what I mean? Like,
I think like one of my talents is like I can talk anyone off a ledge because I am like chill and stuff. So like even if a client's not super happy, like I could usually get them like, oh, hear them out, you know? So I think managing clients is like a huge thing with that. So you can't just like throw an assistant out and be like, okay, do this. Okay, you know color, you know MBR. Like there's so much that goes to it. And if you do that, they're going to panic. They're going to have a terrible experience. The client's going to have a terrible experience. Their confidence as a stylist is now shot. Like you just like stunted their growth for even longer. So take those steps and do them each correctly. And go like go through the process, trust the process, and go through them, and then you'll be successful faster. It might seem like you're going at a slow pace because you're seeing the end result of what you want, but just take the steps to get there, and then you actually will have like better production.
I think I discredit too, like because I've been doing hair for a bit, like how much I've been able, and probably you guys as well, like you can control the energy of how your outcome happens in the salon. But yeah, if you're like good at hair, but you don't have like the reps of dealing with clients experience, you could be like a really good artist. But when we're catering to like a 5-star experience and you have to really pay attention to the energy of the client and things like that, if you fuck it up, like you're done. And I think that's like one thing we're all good at is like I said, you give somebody purple hair, but if you can like talk them off that ledge and put the control back in your hands of like, hey, I know this is what you want, but here's what's gonna like look best and here's what's gonna work, then it's like you get the best outcome and they get the best outcome. You know what I mean? And that's like the biggest thing in doing hair is managing that client experience. But going back to what Ani was talking about, like with the Daily 4 and the social media and things like that, we just had a hot seat on Monday, and one of the girls, she's fairly new, like she came in like January, I think it was, and she's like, okay, so I'm struggling to get more MBR clients. She says that. And we're like, okay, well, how are you marketing? She says mainly Instagram. And we're like, okay, well, if it's mainly Instagram, you should broaden your reach. Maybe try Facebook or YouTube. And then I said, but pull up your MBR page, because if that's like your Instagram page, because if that's your main method of marketing, I want to see what it looks like. So instantly when she pulls it up, I'm like, I would have no idea that you did any kind of hair extensions whatsoever. Not at all. I can't even see a side-by-side clearly. Maybe there's one here. There's nothing. You have literally like 20 to 30 seconds to like grab somebody's attention. And the other thing is, I'm like, it's kind of messy. You know what I mean? And we're trying to like help her clean up her feed and do that kind of thing. But I'm like, if you want to get more clients, then like every post should be dedicated like a clear intent. You know what I mean? And it should be like really,
CTA,
really
call to action.
It shouldn't just be like summer hair. It should be like, hey, I'm offering natural beaded row hair extensions. If you want to find out more, click here. Like, it's as easy as that, and it has to be a very clear intent. It has to be a super clean feed. And even, like, I've noticed over the years, like, the stylists that start doing that, where your page is a clear intent and there's not kid pictures and me with so-and-so and this and that, like, they're going to get more success even if they don't have a ton of followers. Like, our highest producing MBR artist in the network has, I think, 1,000 followers. And, if, like, she's making, like, a killing. And I'm like, this just goes to show, like, she has 1,000 followers. But when you go to her page, her work looks clean, her CTA is good, and her intent is like, hey, I offer hair extensions. Here you go. Yep. So people, like, you can't, like, there's little things like that where, like, it makes, like, a huge difference, and people get lost in, like, followers. But you're like, no, like, think of it. When I was starting my business, I always, like, was like, okay, I'm going to flip into the mindset of a consumer. And I would encourage everybody who's out there with a business or who does hair to flip into the mindset of a consumer. And if you do that, you start like not overthinking your pictures and doing bold prints and this and that. You think like, would I be attracted to this? Would this sell me? You know what I mean? And figure out, why did I go down this rabbit hole? How did I get to this website? Why am I buying these shoes? Start paying attention to all these little details and implement them. And don't just say, well, I'm paying for Mastermind, or I'm doing this and I'm MBR certified and why don't I have more clients? Like, when you step back and look at it, you're like, oh, okay, cool. But it's cool because sometimes we don't see it, and that's why, like, in the Mastermind, we offer hot seats and things like that. People are signing up like, please help me, because maybe they can't see it. And then when you bring it to their attention, they're like, oh, yeah, I could do that. Okay, let's try that. And then just, like, staying consistent.
Well, sometimes you do that and they're like, oh yeah, that's great, I totally see it. And sometimes they're like, but I am doing everything. I'm like, no. So interesting. I had a phone call with I had a conversation with one of our students who is currently inside of Mastermind, so I won't say her name. And basically, I'll be honest, the entire phone call was 20 minutes long, and most of it was her telling me that there were days she loved Mastermind. And she's like, there's some days where I'm just fucking like amped and I love it. And I'm like, this is so great and wonderful. She's like, and then there are just some days where I'm like, oh, I don't really know if I'm getting like my money's worth inside of this. And I'm like, okay, well, why is that? And she said, like NBR just followed me on Instagram. And I'm like, you could have literally heard the brakes in my brain stop. It was like, ah, what? Like, in those old sitcoms where it's like that record scratch and they're like, what?
You felt like all the progression you've made with her, you're like, we just backstep, like, you're the beginning now. I don't know who you are. Who are you? Have you come to our class?
I was like, what? And she's like, like, it's something that's really important and it means like a lot to me, and I know clients look at that. And I at one point I had to stop her, and I'm like, no, like, followers don't actually pay your bills. Like, they don't pay your mortgage, they don't pay your rent. And her come back to me on that was, well, you tell us to do daily 4, so Instagram must be important. I'm like, okay, snark, for future reference to anyone who's listening, will not get you far with me, ever or at all, because I don't like it, nor do I accept it, especially in my training rooms. Like, I recommend we don't do that. So I'm like, yeah, you're correct. Instagram is important, as is daily 4 from a marketing perspective, but I could not tell you who follows me. Honestly, I couldn't. I know you guys do because we comment, so I assume you do. Honestly, Danielle, if you unfollowed me, I probably would never notice because I don't even go and check.
I'm always weirded out when I do unfollow somebody I don't know, and then they message me and they're like, "You unfollowed me." I'm like, "I don't know who the fuck you are. Delete."
Shut up. That's happened.
Yeah, sometimes it happens, and I'm like, "I don't know. I didn't know who you are. Sorry."
Well, and that to me, like when I'm talking to the student, I think my mind was like blown for a minute. I'm like, what? And I straight up told her, I'm like, hey, your priorities are completely out of whack. Like you are 100% focusing on all the wrong things. You should not be focusing on Instagram and who is or is not following you. You need to be looking at, if you feel like some days you're getting a lot of value from Mastermind and some days you're not, well, what is it you're doing? Have you posted to NBR feedback? Have you been doing this? Have you been doing your daily 4? Have you been doing the assignments for the 30-day sprint? She's like, I do everything. And she's like, and then she's like, but my husband questions some days whether it's worth it. I'm like, oh, there
hate that.
it is.
Oh.
So it literally, I remember her vividly. I can tell you what fucking chair she sat in her
Same.
class on all 3 days. Yep. I remember her vividly, and she was amped and gung-ho and fucking jacked about Mastermind. But now, because there's a bug in her ear, which is fine. I'm sure your husband's a super nice dude, but I see this all the time, that he's like, well, what are you actually getting? What is this? What about that? And she straight up told me, she's like, well, I want my funnel, and I'm so ahead of everybody inside of my pod, and I'm just like really excelling, but they're not. So what do I do? And I was like, Number one, your work needs to be approved. Like, that's the very first thing. So keep putting it into feedback, because Val looks at that every single day, 1,000 times a day. Well, not 1,000 times a day, but she looks at it all the time.
56 videos the other day. Thank you.
She literally did 56 videos in one day. It was, Val's a hustler, guys. Val, I appreciate your hard work and dedication.
How long does that
BMS
take?
appreciate.
It took me all day.
Oh,
I
I
mean,
got
you
there
have
at 8 and I left at 7.
Well, you have to think 56 a minute of video. That's already an hour. 3 minutes. That's 3 hours. So 4 minutes.
What days do you do that?
Monday.
Oh, it's so funny because I 1 week I went out on Friday and I was like, Val's up to speed. We're good. Bye.
We're good to go.
For
I try
reference,
to
no.
go like after work sometimes, but you can only get through so much when you're getting off, when you get off. So,
for sure.
Monday I could knock out a lot, but she has some work to do. I could say that on the MBR side, the student you're talking about.
But that's what I think is so interesting, that from her perspective, and this is not to talk shit on her, say she's fucking shitty, we don't like her. I fucking love her. I think she's super nice. Like, it was so great having her in class. I remember her in class
I like her
vividly.
too.
Yeah, but it's just once again, we're back on what we talked about almost in the last podcast, as well as accountability. Like, you need to look inward and say, well, what am I doing? Am I not doing? Because I also went back and I looked at the assignment she posted, and I'm like, you only did half the assignment. You did not print it. You did not write on it. You wrote on 2 columns when there were supposed to be 34 things you were supposed to do. You did literally 2.
Yeah.
So how is it?
And same thing with the pod thing. She thinks she's so far above the pod. Don't worry about what anyone else in your pod is doing. Worry about the feedback and improving on that. You still have work to do, like specific things that she can like be checking off daily. That's what she needs to be focused on, not who's following her on Instagram.
And I just think I see this so much. And the conversation at the end, I was just, not that I was frustrated, but I think my mind was just kind of blown. Like, damn, have we not instilled this enough? And I know we have.
Well, and I always think, I'm like, opportunity won't arise unless you're ready. It just won't. If you're doing all the steps, opportunity will arise because you put in the work. And so that's what's so funny is people are like, well, why aren't I there? And I'm like, because you like, I want to like literally like smack people in the head and be like, come on, like I'm in the same boat. I might be like a little ahead of the game, but like you have to like realize that about yourself, And it's just kind of like mind blowing. I'm like, really?
I think what she said, though, is interesting, and I feel like a lot of people have that, so not even, like, singling her out. But she was like, some days I feel like I really love Mastermind, and I'm, like, all amped, and some days I feel like I'm not getting my value. That's just called a mood.
Yeah.
Some days I really am amped, and, like, I feel like I can do 50 clients in a day, and I could do, everything. And other days I'm like, fuck, I am so
over it.
damn
Yeah.
tired. Like, I'm going to take a pool day. Nope, no, I'm not. I'm going to push through this. I want a pool day. I want a beach day, but I'm going to go and I'm going to work and I'm going to hustle and I'm going to get further today than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's doing that. It's taking the steps and still working when you don't want to, when you don't feel like it, pushing through in those moments. That's when you get like more production done. That's when you like grow. And that's when you see even more results. You don't feel like you love everything every day. Freaking even as like a wife and a mom, you're not always like amped on everything. You have these moods, but it's working through them and still doing the work despite your mood. That is what's going to propel you forward.
I don't know if you guys are like this, but there's like just some mornings, and I know it's not just a girl thing because Garrett tells me he does it. Like you just wake up and you're like, I'm just fucking over it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything. I don't want to email. I don't want to do this. Like I don't want to go to work. Like I'm just over it. And for me, like I just like turn those thoughts off, and I'm like, you're going to work. And then it's funny if I just like just choose. Like in that moment, I'm like, no. And I just start working. Then I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I might be still tired, but like that's just like life. Like some days you wake up and you don't want to do it. And then some days you like have a family vacation, a weekend where you can kind of like regroup and things like that. And that's just like when I always joke around, like we're living our best lives, but it's not like we're not going through all the same emotions that normal people go through. People like I look at like celebrities or people that have like millions and millions of dollars, and I'm like, they're experiencing the same emotions that we're experiencing.
Definitely.
You know, just at a different level. So what you're experiencing is totally normal. It's what you choose to do with those emotions in order to move forward.
And that's why I think us three have, like Danielle, it started with you, and then Val, you were the second, and I was kind of like the third. But we've set like a precedent. And I think sometimes, not that it makes it almost hard for us, but we're like, damn, like we are hustling and we're working so hard. What do you mean you're upset about an Instagram follower? Like what? And that blows my mind. But that's something that I think like, Val, even with you, like you were the first like team member that like ever really came on. Like you were Danielle's like right-hand man. You were like the first like trainer inside of BMS, obviously excluding like Danielle and Garrett. But like you have set a precedent. You've set a precedent for everyone, and everyone can see it. Like, that's why when people tell me, they're like, but I'm tired, I have kids. I'm like, you don't get to say that. Like, I see what Val does day in and day out.
You know what's so funny with Val, too? Like, she never, like, says it. She's just like, okay, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Yep, I got it. And I was like, huh. And, like, I never knew till, like, recently when I know, like, sometimes the workload, and I'll be like, Garrett, Val won't say it, but she looks tired. Give her a break. Let's take a day. She had 175 text messages come in yesterday. Is that normal? What's going on?
And even things like that, like Val and I were laughing out this morning. She's like, I have to have an answer in one day. This and that. I'm like, no, you don't. I was like, I don't know who told you one day, but nah, son. Like,
sorry, it was me.
No, it's always me. That's the funniest part.
like,
it's always me. I'm the one who puts like the immense pressure on myself all the time, and then I'm like, why am I always racing this invisible clock?
I texted her last night, and I was like, hey. About those texts, because I put a post on my Instagram that just said dates were released, because because they were. And anyways, she's like, and people were like, I responded, I didn't get a text message. And I was like, oh, okay, we got like 200 text messages, but don't worry, we'll respond to you in 24 hours. And then I was like, probably should have asked Val, because I was like, so, you got these texts, right? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, sweet, because I did a post.
And then this morning, I posted on my Instagram this morning, and I'm like, we have received over 200 messages. Like, have a little bit of patience and grace. And fun fact, if you message her repeatedly, your name actually drops lower because the texts are all in order. So if you've been a dickhead, and for future reference, I'm going to say this real quick.
Maybe they're just excited.
No, I don't care. Whoever called Val at 1 o'clock in the morning, you're a fucking asshole. You are
but maybe it's a different time zone.
Okay.
What time zone? It's either later.
No, okay, fine. All right.
That's
California.
3 a.m.
No, California, 1 a.m. is East Coast, 4 a.m. That is unacceptable timing. Whoever you are, you're a fucking asshole, and have a little bit of respect. You would not like phone calls at 1 to 4 a.m. Nope, I don't care.
Maybe they wanted to leave a voicemail.
Cool, you don't call.
I put my phone on airplane mode.
Hey, assholes, it's my personal cell. My husband is hearing my phone buzz all night long. So he's like, is your phone ringing?
Okay,
right now?
funny story. I had my notifications on in Mastermind, and it was literally like, I think it was Monday or something, but something big must go down on Mondays.
Nope.
Okay, well, one day, it was one day.
I already know where you're going with this.
And literally, it was like 4 a.m., and it was like, zzz, 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 zzz,
I can tell you what happened.
I've turned those notifications off forever ago.
What is that? And I quickly put my phone on airplane mode.
Nope, I can tell you exactly what happened. BMS number 25, you guys are legit, and I love you guys. Like, this is not even sarcasm. You guys are fucking awesome. They're just bonding inside the chat. I logged in, 418 missed chat messages, and I was like, I cannot commit to reading this, but I'm going back to this phone call really quick. Nothing either one of you say will convince me that calling someone, but anywhere between 1 and 4 a.m. is realistic.
And fun fact, they were from Washington. So what's Washington's time zone?
Our time zone.
Did they leave you a voicemail? Let's try.
I've never set up my voicemail.
Oh, I
would
like,
never do that.
That'd be fun to hear.
No.
I would never set up voicemail.
So for me, it's have a little bit of respect and a little bit of grace. I understand you're excited. Like, trust me, I, of all people, my title was self-proclaimed trainer before I actually came to work here. I get the excitement, guys. But can you please remember that we are actually human beings, and we have lives and families and things like that we actually do enjoying.
Well, I was in the salon all day. That's honestly why I didn't text back.
Our small classes, where it's not like, here's a link, go ahead and pay. Like, our small classes are 3 days. They're super intense. They're 2 days, I'm sorry. And they're super intense, and we interview every single person. I shouldn't say we. I don't interview them. You guys do the work on that. And we want to make sure it's a good fit for everybody. And so that's where it's like, it's not a click and buy thing. Like,
we have to schedule the time for the phone call,
fine.
make
like,
sure it's a good fit.
We're out for you. We want to make sure it's a good fit. But I think that's where people are used to how most like education goes, where it's like, hey, there's a class, click the link and purchase right now. It's $65. This is not $65, and we're not going to give you a link. We want to make sure it's a good fit. So if you're listening to this and you're a stylist, just be patient. The 24-hour rule, sorry about that. I'm going to extend that to a 72-hour.
I'm going to extend it to you just wait for a response. And that's literally what I said. I'm like, just understand, like, the more you text, because we're going in order that they came in. Val opened none of them yesterday, so they'd be in perfect order. So the more you text, you get bumped later and later. Fun fact, we only have 60 spots available for our small classes. She got 200 messages. So you can do whatever math you want, but I'm going to tell you now, like, 100% it's already going to be full in the next few days.
But then they'll, if you didn't get in, you want to come to convention.
Yeah, we're going to have BMS Con number 3 this fall. No, I will not tell you the dates. No, I will not tell you the times. No, we do not have anything available yet. No, you cannot sign up for it. No, you cannot pay for it. We will be releasing those dates at a later time. And I'm going to say now, if you would like to be put on the wait list to attend a BMS convention or a BMS intensive class, go to bigmoneystylist.com and fill out the application. You will receive an email back saying, hey, just letting you know we're full up, but that also means you are on the wait list. So for the one person who has messaged me every 3 days.
That's like the client that gets your message
for the past 2 months. I know your name. I know
It's
your
weird.
email. If you message me one more time, oh my sweet baby Jesus. Literally,
You know what? That's like a red flag. Like,
it's almost like
that's like a client that you had text you every day. You're like, you might be nice, but you're dancing on the crazy line, so I'm going to say no based on that.
I saw her name pop up twice in my email this morning, and I'm like,
To me, it's like excited goes to like the energy of like, save me, you know, and I'm like, no.
it's.
But again, we're looking for a good fit for everybody.
And here's what I've told everybody, even students inside who've like wanted to join BMS and things like that. BMS guys, I'll be realistic, not for everybody, especially when it comes down to production. This is work. I will never lie and be like, it's super fun. Is it fun? Yes, but it's not only work for our students, it's work for us, which is why I think it's so funny when I've heard people say, I just want to be on the BMS team because that's where the money is. I'm like, you know what? That to me is so disrespectful, because you have no idea how much blood, sweat, and fucking tears has gone into making BMS what it is today. And for you to say you want to be on the team because you just want to make a bunch of money, you're fucking rude. And I can guarantee you that will be the last thing that ever happens. Like, I hate hearing that, because people just, they want the celebrity, they want
Everyone
the
wants
money.
a quick buck. It's just life. Everyone's like, if I did this person's hair, if I was on BMS, if I had the funnel, if I had this, if quit fucking ifing yourself and do the work. Like, don't skip the steps. And that's just like how life goes. I realized this like so long ago. There's not a magical pill for anything.
Yes.
There's not a magical formula. Like, if you are that asshole in life that wants a step-by-step process, it doesn't fucking exist, because everything's always changing. And so it's
evolves.
tests. Even with us, how often are we willing to just test? And it's like, okay, it's not like a guess, it's a test. It's like, we think this will predictably work with marketing. Let's test this. Okay, this didn't work. Let's do this and this and this. And everything you do is a test, and it's that willingness to test it, learn from it, grow from it. There's not a fucking magical pill. So, like, mastermind,
It's hard
everybody
work.
else, like, and it takes big fucking balls, let's just say it, to be willing to put the money in, to invest in your business and to test it. And so many people, and stylists, and I was one of them too, where I'd be like, oh, I don't want to invest in my business. Like, I don't need to. And it's at a place where, like, you have to. If you want your business to grow, you have to be willing to invest in it as well. And so many people fall short in that area. And it's like, you can't skip steps. You have to be willing to test. You have to just fucking man up. Like, I'm just gonna put it out there. I know.
It's so much work, and you have to keep doing it. Like, and the people, that's why I love being on this team, is because I know, like, you and Garrett will never slow down. I know you guys have days where you're like, fuck it, I'm out. I'm not doing this shit anymore. And it's exhausting.
We have date
I can't
night,
even
we just get shit faced.
I respect it.
Welcome
I admire
back, Susan.
it. And I implement that into my own life. But I know you guys will never slow down, and I love being a part of that, because then it inspires me. Like, I'm not stopping either. Like, it motivates me to keep going, and I'm not looking in the end result of like being a celebrity or anything. I just want to keep working hard and see where that gets me. And there is no end game plan for me. I don't know what the end looks like. I just know that every single day I'm going to give it my all, despite how I'm feeling, and to like keep this movement going forward.
Right.
So.
It's interesting too. I think that more people, like, when you catch that bug that we all have, that's like growing and becoming a better person, you find that's way more fulfilling than being the platform artist or the celebrity. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I know that there's big companies and they call big artists on and that kind of thing. posting and they're really showy and they get up and they're like, and they find a lot of fulfillment for that. But that fulfillment ends the moment you realize it was just a one-time stop on the stage. And to know that, like, for me, and I feel like it's way more fulfilling to like see a movement, to see like an impact in our industry, to see individuals have the amount of success they are. And like, I like how you just touched base on those. Like, you're like, I don't really want to be a celebrity. It's because we know that in the end, that's not what is going to be fulfilling. If we become celebrities in doing the work and creating this movement, great. But we will always find more fulfillment, at least speaking for myself, more fulfillment off of seeing other people rise and grow and myself learning from it.
Oh my God, yes. And that's what we've always talked about, because we get, like, guys, the nicest, and I get, especially like, because they know, like, I live inside the network, guys. Like, I'm never outside of it. Like, they
sometimes you pop over to the salon and I'm like, are you needed to get out, huh? You have computer eyes.
It's Ani in real life. It's a rare sighting, guys. But it's like, they know I'm always there, and I get so many cool messages. Oh my God, Danielle, I just got a letter in the mail. I'm gonna have to show it to you. It's at headquarters right now, of a woman who came to BMS Con, and she was like, I just want to tell you guys thank you. And even reading that, I'm like, it's so cool that she's like loving this and like having such a good, like having a good time with it, but also like doing so much work behind it as well.
Right.
And then the messages I've been getting even on like Instagram of people being
I
like,
know.
I listened to the podcast, and today has been, guys, before we started, I'm like, I already have 15 messages, and I said, don't message me, damn it, but it's fine. But even now they're like, you're releasing class dates, when can I get in? I love you guys, like, I have to be there. And I'm like, dude, I hear you, and guys, like, I get it. I wish more than anything I could do an event every single fucking week. Like, I would die, but I would do it for you guys to get everybody in that wants to be in. But it's not realistic. I will literally keel over and die. Like, it takes everything out of me to do it for an entire week. And October, we got them 2 weeks in a row. I'm like, yee.
Well, and the other thing too is we're not willing to just like go train and have other trainers go. We're not at that point where we're ready. Like some people, like I feel like if you're in that, you're like, oh well, we've got enough social credit. Like let's just go train everywhere. But if your trainers aren't there, you're gonna have shitty extensions. You're just gonna cheapen the overall experience of the brand that you built. And so it's
and
like,
we're holding ourselves to a higher standard.
Yeah.
We're not trying to water down the product.
Yeah.
Like BMS is gaining momentum,
Right.
but we're wanting it to like stay at the level that it's
Right.
at, not get watered down and like us get like worn out and like too tired that we're not producing the best results, which
Right.
is the best education that is out there.
And not only that, like if we were truly just in it for the money, honestly, we could for sure train someone half-ass or at least well enough.
we would go on volume and offer it
Yes.
like $60 a month or whatever it is. You know what I
It's
mean?
not even that,
We would
but,
build
like,
volume, but
well-
we're not looking to do that. We're looking to build quality.
Yeah, we could easily like train someone, like I said, well enough to be like, okay, cool, you're gonna take this region of the country, you're gonna take this, you're gonna take this, and then we're gonna like stack our books with all this shit. But we don't do that because
We're not at that point.
It's not. I feel like
We
no,
could.
number one,
We could.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But-
Like, I bet you we could if we wanted to, but we don't want to because, like Val said, that waters it down. We put so much like time, energy, love, blood, sweat, tears into this. Like, we will not do anything that will ever jeopardize DKW. We will not jeopardize NBR. We will not jeopardize BMS. And like us as like a family. Like, yes, we're coworkers, like bosses, assistants, whatever, but we're really like such a family like unit inside of this.
I just think, I feel it's weird. I think when opportunity arises and you're like you feel like you're ready, then it's the next natural step.
Yeah.
But I'm not like, for me, I'm not willing to just be like, oh, let's fucking blow this shit up. Like it's you've got to like feel like, okay, the cards are aligned and this is like an educated decision. And it's like, again, you have to kind of be willing to like take that leap, but it's an educated leap or an educated guess or an educated test. Like I was saying, like testing things, because if you don't and you blow up too quick, then you'll be like, oh fuck, and the kingdom crumbles. So you have to slowly build your kingdom, and then all of a sudden 20 years in, you're like, I'm a reputable company. Like I'm not like just here and gone. Like I'm not like, and not only that, like we kept it going, we kept it level up, you know what I mean? And I just, that's where I see this going. Like I see companies and I see people and the whole social media thing, and they're like hype, and I'm like, motherfuckers, I'm gonna be riding this train out for a bit. So
Yeah.
And
this
We
isn't
ain't going nowhere.
This isn't like a quick two pony, like this isn't like a fun ride for the next couple years.
But I'm obsessed with every, like what you just said, saying like we're building, and we always say it's like the kingdom, like we have the BMS kingdom, the warrior kingdom, but it's a kingdom, and our foundation is so solid
Right.
with everything that's been built, because it started with you and Garrett, and then Val came on, and then I came on, and I feel like every team member that like truly is in like at the core, which I feels like it's just us four, like we're so like die hard about all of it, not because of the money, not because of the celebrity, but because what we see it does for everyone else, like that constant like pushes us and feeds us. And I feel like even like that base and foundation we had keeps us working more and harder, not to like burnout mode, like my God, we still take occasional half a day for ourselves. I'm kidding, we take time, but like that like pushes us to like want to do more, and building a foundation on like the true like love of the craft and what we do and the business and the employees and like staff inside of it will take us so much farther than being like, well, I like it, but we could make more money if we did this. Let's just fuck it. Let's try it. Because then the bricks that you're building your kingdom on, they're super crumbly, guys. They already have cracks.
You have to have foundation.
Yes, and that's what I think is just so cool about everything we've done. So unfortunately, we have about 5-6 minutes left, which is bumming me out. So
don't worry, we still have another training after this.
I know.
Don't be sad, Ani.
Fun fact, as soon as we are done with this podcast, we're going to a live training for the next 2 hours as well. We have that inside of our mastermind program. And ooh, we have some cool stuff we're announcing today. I'm so excited.
What is it?
Michaela Breesy, who is in wherever, California, up north, whatever, she is actually going to be taking 6 students inside a special program inside Mastermind, their very own group, that is going to be focused solely on business. So how we do the 30-day sprint, where they have assignments for 30 days, including like body being balanced business and power production, profit protection. She's going to be doing that, but on the business portion. So it will be a week relating to like business, a week relating to like paperwork, a week relating to assistance, and like creating your culture. So she's gone through and made her own sheet. And I mean, welcome to the game, Michaela. Like this may or may not sound shitty, like this is her test. She wants to be inside of BMS, and I've now seen, because we gave her literally like, Garrett and I gave her like a week and a half to do this, like get all this shit ready for the next month and a half or next month. But she has like bled so much already, like she's hustling to be here, and that's what I like seeing, because so many, like I said, I can gauge artists left and right now when they're like, I want to be part of BMS. I'm like, you just want to have your face on stage in front of 300-400 people, and I'll say time again, I will never allow that. We are not here for the celebrity and for you to feel like, oh, I'm super important, like fucking look at me. We're here because we love it. We're here because we want to make a change. We're not here for whatever dumbass celebrity. We're like, that shit fucking kills me some days. When
I know.
That or like the money thing, they're like, ooh, this must be great. I'm like, fuck off. Number one, like I have literally like sat at my desk crying from being so stressed out, and you think you can step in here because you think it looks like fun? No, fuck you. You want to be on the team? You're going to do what Michaela's doing. She came and said, this is what I would like to do. How do you feel about it, Garrett? And I sat down, we're like, okay, I think she'd be great. But guess what? We hire on literally no one until they've, congrats, gone through the gauntlet. I had to do it for 3-4 months, and Lord knows.
Until Ani just passes out.
Until Ani approves this shit, no one's coming on the team. And I'm just so.
Can I be on the team?
Daniel, you my number one, don't worry. I feel like you're both my number one, but it's cool. Can I have A and B, please? I just feel like it's like my 2 little arms I have 2 arms, guys. It's us 3. But it's true, like us 3 have just, we've worked so hard and we know what it takes. Like you created NBR, you brought it from fucking ground up, and then Val jumped in, and then she was here from the beginning of BMS, and then I jumped in, and I'm like, okay, here we go. Like this is what we're doing. And now it's just gotten so big, but that was from pure like hustle and grind of everyone on the team. So that's when people are like, oh my gosh, it looks like so much fun. Can I be a trainer too? I'm like, okay.
I think it's the same feeling like I noticed like with you, just because like I'm an observer, like when people are copying in VR and calling it something different, you know, like how you're just like, what the fuck, I worked so hard for this. I think that's the same like reaction that Ani gets when people are like, I just want to be part of BMS, I just want to be a trainer and on stage, and she's like, I'll fucking kill you, I worked so hard.
We need that though. We're like
Totally.
And that's why I've told people, even Morgan, my assistant, when she came in, I'm like, because she assisted me inside the salon, and I'm like, look, I loved you there. For sure, I'm hiring you on for that. I don't guarantee you anything inside BMS. I'm like, it's not. I trialed her out for an entire week inside of BMS, and now she's on 90-day probation. Not because she's garbage. I actually fucking love her, and she's killed. Even now, my phone is dinging with her being like, hey, I finished this. I'm doing this. I'm on my way for this. And I'm like, oh my God, you're fucking great. But I told her, I was crystal clear. This is not a joke to me. BMS is not.
I don't think anyone thinks
yeah,
that is.
Good. And let's make it clear right here, right now. But I was like,
I think it's clear across the universe.
I was so deadpan serious. I'm like, this shit, not a joke. I'm like, I will actually commit murder for BMS. I'm like, I'm not going to let anyone fuck with Danielle, fuck with Val, fuck with Garrett, myself, anyone on the team, our artists, our students, BMS, NBR, DKW. Like, I'll fucking throw down, and everybody knows it. But it's because, A, I love it. Like, I've given everything I have to it, but on top of it, so have you, and so have you. Like, this is not something that we're like, this would be fun. Let's just do it. And then we'll have, like, friends on stage. Like, no, fuck you. Like, we have cried over this, and it's been so much work. Like,
I don't really want to be on stage. I want to build the fucking stage.
Done. Let's fucking do this shit. But I feel like that's what's so great about our team, that I think everyone wants to build the stage. It just so happens, and we're on it as well, because we're also training and teaching. But oh my gosh, from ground up, like the people sitting in this room, Garrett's here in spirit, but like add him in, like that's where this was birthed from. Like this will birth from you guys and the additions on, but I just think it's so cool. Like Val, like you said, like everyone works so hard. It's so inspiring to be like, they're going,
I
I'm
don't
going.
remember what today's topic was.
It's about doing the fucking work.
Okay, so
We're still on it. Don't worry.
What are we out of time?
Final words, yeah.
Final words, yeah, because I just realized I had to go pick up kids.
Yeah,
Perfect.
keep doing the work no matter what your mood is, and you will always see results from that. So whether you want to show up that day, fucking show up, and you'll never regret that you did the work.
So with that being said, thank you for listening to us
Sorry,
again
you
on the
didn't get
BMS. Just kidding, Danielle, final words.
I actually didn't have any final words.
Okay, perfect. So in that case, thank you for listening to us here at the Big Money Stylist podcast. If you want to watch and see what we're actually doing, go to bigmoneystylistnow.com, and we will see you guys next week.